Hi, my name is Erica Jensen. I am 5 feet 4 inches. I like to say 5'5", but I think it's actually 5'4". And I am Layla's mom. Proud to be Layla's mom. She's starting high school this fall, and this is how we roll.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Shout out Layla. That was beautiful.
When it comes to working in entertainment, there's a lot of hows, and they all boil down to how we navigate this wild industry. While how we follow our dreams is uncertain, how we roll along the way is in our hands. Welcome to How We Roll, a podcast for actors by Casting Networks. There's that old Hollywood adage, it's all about who you know. We've all been to parties and events where we feel like we want to put our best foot forward so that we can, well, know people. Today, we break all of this down in an unintimidating way. Hi, actors. It's your friend Robert Peterpaul bringing you a discussion on building your own uplifting and motivating network as an actor. To discuss this, we have an award-winning casting director and kind soul, Erica Jensen. Erica Jensen is 1/3 of Calleri Casting. With 20 years of experience across mediums, she's cast some of your favorite TV shows like Dickinson on Apple and Broadway shows like the recent Tony winner Purpose. Erica teaches at the New School, mentors at Brown/Trinity Rep, and co-runs She Collective, a women-only acting studio. Originally from Tampa, she lives in Brooklyn with her daughter and is a proud member of the Casting Society of America. Erica enjoys spending time with her dog, running marathons, watching TV, and yoga. I included that last bit because, as you'll hear from Erica, one of the keys to unlocking networking is to see people as, well, people. If you lead with humanity, I don't think you can go wrong. Speaking of friend, I appreciate you for being a part of our podcast network here. Please follow our social channels at Casting Networks and at Rob Peterpaul to connect and submit your hows to be answered in a future episode. We really want this to be a community for actors. Now here's how we roll with authentic networking, featuring casting director Erica Jensen.
Yay! Well, hello, Erica. Welcome to How We Roll.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is such a joy to have you. I've had the privilege of meeting your partners, but I've never met you, and I've heard the most wonderful things. So very grateful that you're here.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I love my partners, James Calleri and Paul Davis. Love them.
That's good. That's very good. And,
Yeah.
Before we dive into the wonderful world of finding partners that you love and people that you love in this industry, AKA networking, you began your career earning an MFA in acting. I don't need to tell you that. And I just wanted to set the scene here. How would you say having that perspective as an actor still kind of shapes the work you do today?
Yeah, I think when training as an actor gives me a lot of, I think, empathy for what actors, how they have to move through the world. Just being and having come from that kind of training and background, the vulnerability that you experience sort of like constantly as an actor is something that I again have a lot of empathy for. And also having that kind of training, reading so many plays, being trained in Shakespeare, it just makes me better at my job as a casting director because I know how to read a play. I know how to, I know how to hopefully, guide somebody through a scene if I need to. I understand how to like map out Shakespeare, for example. And so there's also some practical things that I just know how to do.
Yeah.
having that kind of training that go beyond performing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think
Hmm.
one of the greatest lessons I learned on the other side as an actor has been being a reader, because you sort of get the
Hmm.
glimpse into casting and how it's not as personal as you might think, even though
Hmm.
it's personal, but it's not personal. It's such a weird thing. And so I think it's
Yeah.
wonderful when casting directors have that. I, wonder how it applies to today's topic. Everyone,
Hmm.
trigger warning. I'm going to say the word networking. I think it gives some of us hives. Erica,
Yes.
maybe we could call it community building or just relationship
Yes.
building.
Yeah.
I think it's important no matter what our job is in this wild life, but especially in this people driven business. So, to start, and I know it might sound like an obvious question, I just wonder for you, what do you think the purpose of networking is?
Well, I like what you said, like reframing it as community building. I think the purpose is again to expand who you know and who you have as part of your as people that you can rely on and people who you want to
Mm,
work with. And I really like this idea of finding your people, finding your community, and that's what it is for me, at least. A lot of the things that I think we might be talking about today are things that I do
mm,
myself, because I think that community building helps you expand as a human being, expand as a person,
mm,
and maybe that takes. I love that you said that because maybe that takes some of the pressure off. Like maybe it's not
yeah,
as scary if we think about all of us as human beings, and wanting to be with people who share your values
yeah.
and share your creative spirit.
Yeah, and I think we've all heard this phrase so many times, probably been pounded into our brains. But I know for me, it was sort of a game changer and a work in progress when I say game changer to hear, book the room, not the job. And
Hmm.
I think
Hmm.
of it a lot of the times as when you go to a party, you're also nervous, but you're excited to meet other people and just make new
Hmm.
friends. And I think if you can put the emphasis on that, there is, like you said, a little bit of the pressure taken out of that balloon. And I
Yes.
also, it conjured up the Shonda Rhimes of it all, that the famous monologue where I think in Grey's Anatomy, they're saying, "You're my people, you're my person," because it
Right.
is, like you said, we get by with a little bit of help from our friends. I mean, how many more
Right.
things can I quote here? I don't know, Erica,
Right.
but you touched on it. And I wonder what is your
Yeah.
personal relationship with networking like? Is it something you personally find a little scary? Do you enjoy it?
I don't know if enjoy is the right word, but I
Okay.
do. Well, okay. You know what? Actually, let me put it this way. I do like meeting new people. I really do. I have a curiosity about people and what they do. You can ask my partners. I ask a lot of questions. And I always want to learn about other people and like what they're doing and how they're doing it.
Mm,
And I think that's so important. So leading with curiosity always, I think, is a big thing. Taking it off of, anytime we can take it off of ourselves and put it um and put that energy on toward someone that we're truly
mm,
interested in. Um uh like I'll do little things like if I'm watching a TV show and I'm particularly inspired by the casting, I might reach out to the casting director, and
mm,
say and tell them just how much I loved what they did. And that's not anything, that's not me trying to get anything. That's just me wanting to express a
mm,
like I want to, just express how much I enjoyed somebody's work. And I'm not expecting anything from that, but I do hope that that, you know, perhaps it leads to maybe a continued friendship or like a building
mm,
like a network of colleagues that I want to talk to and share experiences with, like especially professional experiences.
mm.
Maybe I can learn more about my job. I'll give like an example. There's a show called Master of None.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah, casting director Cody Becky. Um, did that show, and there was an episode where it's the episode is called "I Love New York," and it's one of the episodes that just like floored me because they cast there are cab drivers in that episode, and they cast real cab drivers
Mm.
and the authenticity and what sort of came out of that episode because of their work, because of what that person did, it just sort of blew me away, and I found it very inspiring. So I wrote to
Yeah.
Cody to let them know. And, you know, like I said, like I just think that when you are inspired by someone's work, and it's
Mm.
something that you maybe want to emulate for yourself, or you want to work with that person, reaching out, people love it when you reach out to them in an authentic way because you were moved by something that they did or something you saw,
Mm.
something they made. So I really encourage that you're not bothering anybody by,
Yeah.
by just sending the email, like,
Yeah,
and
send that
saying,
email.
send it, say, hey, I really loved, I saw, whatever you saw, like I saw this play and I loved your work. And, um, I just think that can, that kind of authenticity is very welcome.
Yeah, it's so funny you bring up Cody because I went in for Masters of None
Hmm.
for or Master of None for a little bit, and at one of the last auditions, he took a moment just to compliment me and say something nice,
Hmm.
and it changed my entire day. It changed the way I saw
Hmm.
all the auditions I did that week, and there's kind of science behind that. So even if you don't everybody build a relationship with somebody, at least you're saying something good and putting it out there in the world and affecting someone in a positive way. And it feels good to do
Yes.
that. It's not why we do it, but I think
Yeah.
that's really beautiful. You would bring up that aspect of kindness, which we need
Hmm.
more of in this
We need
world.
more of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can I tell you? So I went
please.
to there's a coffee shop near my house, and I was meeting right before this, I was meeting.
Oh, we're caffeinated. We're ready to go. I
We're
love
ready to
it.
go. Yeah. Well, I I don't go into this place that often, but I went in, and the barista was like, he's like, oh, I yawned, and he said, oh, you need some espresso. And I said, I do. And he said, how about an almond milk latte? I said, sure. And then we had a
Oh.
discussion about almond milk versus oat milk, and like how our journeys with that. And then once when he made my latte, he said to me, he said, you're Erica Jensen, aren't you?
Hmm.
And I said, yes. And he said, you're a casting director. And he said, I am an actor. And he'd written down his information, and he
Hmm.
said, I usually play this kinds of role. He said, he was so sweet.
Hmm.
And he's like, I usually play these kinds of roles. And he was kind of going, but he did it in such a way that was just so sweet and
Hmm.
thoughtful. And he'd written down like all his information on like just like a paper bag, and handed it to me. And I can't wait to bring him in for something
Oh, I
because it
love
was
that.
just like really sweet. And I just thought this is like, he saw an opportunity. Like I don't get recognized, like if anybody says anything to me, it's that they think I'm Maya Rudolph usually.
Oh
Like
my
that's
gosh,
usually,
what a compliment. Oh my gosh, she's
which
the
is
best.
fine. I'm yeah, happy with that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was kind of moved by the fact that, like, first of all, that he, like, how did he even recognize me?
Mm.
That was one thing. And then just the way he approached it was so sincere and sweet and genuine
Mm.
and not invasive.
Yeah.
And I love that. So I've got his information now. I can't wait. Next time I have something, I'll definitely like see if I can. Yeah.
How cool that that happened today, right before this
Right
conversation
today.
on
Yeah. Right
networking.
before this. Yeah, exactly.
I love that that story was, I guess, told and created. And, you can frame that brown paper bag with their number and put it in the
Yes,
Museum of Broadway one day or something, or the Academy Museum. You know,
exactly.
all of this actually brings up a really interesting point to me, Erica, which is that I feel like as actors, sometimes we do make the best connections just with people, not thinking of them as their title. And so
Yeah.
everybody out there, when we're going out to network, here we go. Do you think there's something actors can do mindset wise to put them in the best headspace possible for this? Because you met someone after having some banter at a coffee shop. An audition setting can be so different, and you might be friendly and curious and asking questions, but I'm sure you'd sometimes see actors with their brains ticking, sort of thinking, okay, how can I answer this in the most interesting way possible? So what do you think actors can do to kind of just like take a breath and be in that authentic place?
Yeah, I think uh, what you're saying is maybe like how I would answer it is again just remembering to be the person that you're talking to is a human being. Having curiosity about another human being is always, I think, again, taking that breath and
Hmm.
remembering that everyone that I work with, I feel is on the actor's side. When I'm in an audition situation, for example, everyone in that room is rooting for the person who comes in.
Hmm.
Um, and um, and keeping in mind that there have been there's ideas about, I think, very old ideas about um uh uh what's the word?
Like power
That there's
dynamics,
some
sort
the
of.
power dynamics, and there's some
Yeah.
kind of adversarial
Hmm.
uh, that these relationships are adversarial or antagonistic somehow. And for me, they're really just not. I don't see it that way, and I understand why maybe actors feel that way. It's particularly if they're feeling a little frustrated, which we all are, because especially now, feel it, the feeling in the air is pretty challenging right now, for lots of
Yeah.
reasons that aren't just about all of us, but are about
Yeah.
bigger picture. Um, but what I want actors to know more than anything is that, um, I, I'm always, we're advocates. Every casting director I know, at least, advocates, is like a big
Hmm.
advocate for for actors, and so we're always Uh, n- uh wanting to know the authentic authentic person that's
Hmm.
coming in the room. We want an authentic experience always.
Hmm.
um and it doesn't mean, and so we don't want actors to overthink or try to do what they think we want to see. We want it to come from who they are.
Hmm.
And it's the same with a conversation. If I'm, out in the world again, like I said, that person that I just met at the coffee shop, um, again, very authentic, just he recognized me, he said something nice.
Hmm.
Um, and that's all I ever want.
Hmm. I
I'm a
love
total
that.
sucker for kindness.
Same. Kindness is my philosophy, and I love that you say
Yeah.
that. And I think it
Yeah.
speaks to you too, because both parties sort of have to be open to
Mhm.
view it in the way that it maybe authentically, genuinely is.
Mhm.
It's a tricky thing, this life, and it makes me wonder. Part of networking is making a first impression,
Mhm.
and I just want to put that buzz phrase out there. First impressions. I guess, how have you come to trust them over the years? What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question.
I know it's a tricky thing.
It's tricky, because, there are so many ways now that we make first impressions, and sometimes those first impressions come from social media.
Hmm.
And So when I'm thinking about first impressions, there might be ways that I've gotten an impression of a person before I've even met them, right?
Yeah.
Because of social media, because of website, because an actor has a website, and I might go to their website to. I do explore websites a lot, especially when I don't know an actor, when I've not met them in person or seen them in an audition space. If I want to get to know them, figure out if they might be right for what I'm working on,
Hmm.
I will definitely go to their website. So that's going to be my first impression, right?
Yeah.
And So we sort of have to think about what first impressions are these days. It's not just the handshake or
Hmm.
it's not always going to be the physical interaction, because so much of
Yeah.
what we're doing is online now.
Yeah.
um a lot of times now, like self-tapes are going to be like a first impression. If I've never met the actor and they're submitting a tape for something I've invited them to submit a tape for, that's going to be my first impression of them, right?
Yeah.
So,
And the slate, I guess,
and the slate,
just to
yeah,
pop there for a second, like if you're having an actor come in for the first time, let's say coffee shop comes on in, does the slate.
yeah,
Do you like a little bit of personality in the
I
slate? Do you
do,
like it just
yeah.
business? Okay.
I do, but I also don't want everybody to start thinking like, oh gosh, I've got to come up with something, like I've got to come up with like
50 wigs in 50
yeah,
seconds.
I've got to like think of like a way to like, again,
Yeah.
like if it's like authentic, like what is authentic to you?
Mm,
On occasion, we might give an instruction in like a slate to share something, and usually the sharing is connected to whatever it is we're working on,
mm,
connected to the project. If I'm asking, like in the slate, name, height, location, that's perfect. That's totally fine.
mm,
And then like my impression of you is going to come from your level of professionalism. Did you read the instructions in the slate? Have you prepared all the material that I asked to prepare? Is your tape like can I hear you? Can I see you, properly,
mm,
and then, so that level of professionalism is going to be my first impression.
mm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that
yeah,
makes total sense.
yeah,
I loved reading about you in the sense of you saying that casting director is sort of like matchmaking, which
yeah,
is such a fun analogy. You know,
yeah,
there's so many folks that listen to this podcast that feel like they're never going to get their match because for whatever reason, they just feel like they don't have any connection to the industry. They don't know anybody. And,
hmm,
you know, the flip positive side of everything going on now, even though there's a surplus maybe for casting to view, is that there are more opportunities. There are more digital ways, no matter where you live, to get seen.
hmm,
And in this sort of overloaded world with maybe generic networking and people just following a course or taking one interview that they heard and kind of running with a buzz quote, what does authentic networking kind of look like to you? You gave a great example of it earlier,
hmm.
especially, I guess, in regards to actors first breaking in.
Yes. So, I love that you're talking about the overload, because it does feel like we're in a time now where so much of what we're doing and so much of our interactions are online and our
Mm.
experiences are online.
Yeah, this is
So
online right now, I'm realizing.
I know, we're online right now. But I think that getting out of the house, get out of the
Mm,
house, get off the sofa, go see shows. Volunteering at theaters is a big thing. I think like if you can volunteer time in some kind of way, like being a volunteer usher, or if they need volunteers for like the box office, or
mm,
volunteers, um, finding those like places, those smaller theater companies that need help, um, getting out there to do that. If you can volunteer your time in some way, I
mm.
think that is a great way, to meet people. Um, and yeah,
Yeah,
again, it goes back to what we said before, like building community, not credits, right? Not
yeah.
just credits.
Oh, I love
Um,
that. I'm going to write that
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah, building community, not just credits. And I think that that's like a big thing. Like, the other thing, invite your friends over to read plays and scripts and things like that. Like,
Mm,
you know, who knows what comes of that? Like, but don't have expectations necessarily that anything comes of it. It's just, I've got friends, or invite people that you want to get to know better. Who do you want to get to know better?
yeah.
Invite them over to read plays with you. You know, we have, the big thing now, that I encourage, and I know that everyone's not capable of this, but self-produced work,
Mm,
content creation. It doesn't have to be content that you post online necessarily, or on social media, but
yeah.
but like if you are that kind of person, if you're a writer, or if you want to even explore writing, or if you even want to explore producing something else, that like really inspires you, so that kind of, then you've got a little bit more control, and that gives you other ways to break in.
Mm,
And like if you are someone who wants to write plays, or you want to write a web series, um submitting, like getting those things done and then getting those things out there to festivals,
Yeah.
writing short plays that get into like those short play festivals. That's a
Yeah.
big deal, like anything that kind of like, again, and then and then that's going to just help, that's going to build your network authentically,
Mm.
because people who want to go to the Sam French, short play festival, you're going to meet them. And
Yeah.
then, um,
Yeah,
Red
that's
Bull,
beautiful.
yeah, like Red Bull Theater, they have like short play festivals,
Mm.
like
And Red
lots
Bull
of people
gives you
do.
wings,
And
and
Red
then
Bull
you
gives
can
you
fly.
wings. There you go.
I love all these tangible ways. We're really big on tangible advice, so I really
Hmm.
appreciate that. And I mentally started creating a newsletter to my friends saying we're doing a monthly play reading, because I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of us maybe did some of these things during the pandemic to pass the
Yeah.
time and maybe got fatigued, and that was such a blur. But bringing all of these back or starting them up for the first time, like you said, can only lead to meeting like-minded is such a tricky phrase, but sort of like your people, I guess we could
Meeting
say.
people.
And
Yeah.
I think this is all so helpful. I wonder, for you, do you have a favorite way you like to build relationships with actors? I know you teach a lot. I know
Hmm.
you audition a lot. Is there something that you most
Yeah.
enjoy?
Well, teaching's a big one. I love teaching. And I love building relationships that way, because it gives me an opportunity to really get to know the actors, like the actors that I'm working with. And also watching their progress over time
Mm,
is something that really excites me. Watching somebody just really um progress that way. I In this day of like lots of self-tapes,
yeah.
um, I've been able to maybe not I've been able to see more work from actors that I might not have been able to see work from before.
Mm,
And whether, a lot of actors are not, they don't know this because they're sending their tape out and then they don't hear anything, and but I do pay a lot of attention. And then I build my uh sort of like, even if like I'm casting something and I'm not able to maybe act, like some actors are not getting called back for that thing.
mm,
I remember when I see someone that excites me,
mm,
and I keep them in mind for other things. And then that builds my network of actors who I want to bring in and introduce to the teams that I'm working with. I love being able to introduce new people to the teams I'm working with. I was just I saw the play, it's called Well, I'll Let You Go,
mm.
at
Oh, yeah, I've heard great things.
oh, so good. I loved it so much. And there was an actor in it who I did not know. Um
Mm,
and um I was just having a meeting about another show, and I mentioned this actor's name, and now, I was like, I don't know him. I saw him on
hmm.
stage. I thought
Yeah.
he was amazing, and I'd love to. And now we're, seriously considering him for this play that I'm working on. So,
Mm.
I can't say who it is because it's not, I don't know.
You better say it or I'm leaving. No, I
I
think
know
that's
we're in the early stages, and so
that's
that
awesome.
is another way, like just me again, like taking my own advice and just like getting off the sofa, going to see things. Like I try to see a
Mm,
lot of plays. I try to go to the theater a lot. I um That's a way that I try to get to know people too. It's just
yeah.
like, yeah.
That's so helpful because we have a lot of casting directors and aspiring, casting professionals that listen too. So I think that's helpful for them, but also for actors. The way you put it, something clicked in my brain, even though it's so obvious, is that casting directors are also networking. Even
Hmm.
though it might feel kind of awkward and scary and like you're going to put them off if you say something or just make that connection, it actually is helping them, because if they don't have a network of actors, they can't really do their job. So I think it's a beautiful sort of insight to just have you say that. And I've heard you say in the past, there's so many great articles about you. You're so amazing. Like it's good to have casting people that like you and call you in, especially in a time where just getting an audition is a win.
Hmm.
What would you say on demystifying sort of the fact that it kind of happens overnight? Because you might see someone on a self tape and then not have something for them, until like a year or two or more later.
Or more,
S-
yeah.
Yeah. So would you say it's it's sort of a long game,
It's
networking.
yeah. The networking is a long game, and you have to, you need to sometimes like remind people that you're out there.
Hmm.
Um, I would say not to be afraid. Like once you've established a relationship with somebody, like once you've like um been invited to audition for them, making sure that you maintain that by letting them know what you're up to. Like when you've got something going on, not being afraid to drop them a note saying, hey, inviting them to the things that you're in, even if they haven't
Hmm.
brought you in a while. It's likely that they just haven't had anything for you. It's not like, it's not that you did anything wrong, or it's not that you're not talented, or that you're not like, a good actor.
Yeah.
um,
I love that we just heard maybe a cab honking in the background. It might get blurred out in post, but everybody, there was a cab. This is so New York for my
yes,
LA
it's so
people
New York. I
listening.
know.
Yeah,
I
I
know.
love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
Yes.
mean to interrupt you though.
No, 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 no. I'm on this is a very quiet room that I'm in, but I am looking out a window.
Oh, well, that's probably why the lighting's
So,
so good. Yeah, that's
yes. Yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So,
That's
um,
underrated too, is just also taking a moment as creative people to look out the window. I know that sounds kind of silly and woo woo, but I talk about that a bit on here. I just feel like being bored is a little underrated these days,
I think so too.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And we should create our own things. And at the same time, don't forget that sometimes like the seeds are planted for something creative because you're just like sitting in the grass, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So anyway, that's where my
Yeah.
brain goes there. But you were
No, I
talking
agree with
about
you. I
the long
am.
game.
Yeah. Yes, and I'm going to keep talking about that. And I also just want to add to what you're saying.
Oh, please do.
I set up my remote workspace to look out the window, so that I can like look up and like look out, and just, yeah, and just take moments to just see like the people walking their dogs and their
Hmm.
and and look at the trees and look at the pretty houses, and um
Yeah, I
the
love that.
architecture. Yeah, it's nice. But
Mm.
anyway, yeah, so the long game, one of the things, a strategy that I can't take credit for this, but another casting director friend of mine, Sujata Pace,
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
sure if you know
amazing.
her. Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
wonderful. But she talks about um like keeping lists, like, okay, my list of like immediate friends, family, and then like the second column is like casting directors, agents, managers, and then the third column is like, who haven't I been in touch with in like 3, 4, 5 years, and
Mm.
who should I reach out to and like reconnect with, looking at those lists, like, who knows what happens from that? Maybe nothing. Again, keeping your expectations um uh again, genuine, and like the desire to reconnect with people that you've lost touch with. um Maybe, but who knows, like maybe something does come from that. You just don't know. Like the number of times that like I'll be like working on something, and I just get a random email from someone that I haven't heard from in a really long time.
Mm.
Like all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, that person,
Yeah.
Jane, right,
Yeah.
Jane. I love Jane, but I haven't talked to Jane in a really long time. And
Mm.
Jane just so happened to like email, and it just
Mm.
so happens to align with like something I'm working on. And great, I can bring Jane in for this thing.
Yeah. Just putting yourself out there
Yeah.
is such a great lesson in itself. And I found that to be true too in my own life. Even sometimes just responding to someone I know's Instagram story. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, hey, wait, the stars are aligning, you know? And I think that's such a beautiful, tangible thing we can all do. And
Mm-hmm.
I wonder for you, I guess to get into the nitty gritty a bit, in
Mm-hmm.
regards to maybe co stars or sort of like under five gigs, which can be, I hate to call them a stepping stone in the TV film world because they're just a win in itself. But how do you think actors can kind of use those little things to create memorable connections?
Yeah, I think having those little those wins, they're wins. Like it's always impressive to me when someone books a co-star. um
Yeah.
and I'm always, making sure again that you've got those clips on a website, for
Mm.
example, making sure that you have those things that you've shot like accessible somehow, um and letting people know like, hey, I'm on this TV show, um I'm doing this. anything that you're doing, making sure that you let people know that you're doing it.
Mm.
And just remembering it's not a bother. It's not a bother to remind people of who you are and like what you're doing, especially when you have something going on. That's the best time to like look at that list of folks that you haven't been in touch with in a while, making sure that they know what you're doing, that you're still around.
And that's sort of what a social network is for, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
to be social, but don't forget to feed the other side too, which is to amp people up, champion them, and,
Yes.
maybe the underbelly of this as we enter the fall and spooky season, Erica. Without naming folks, I wonder,
Mhm.
can you share any horror stories or networking knots? What people should avoid doing?
What should people avoid doing? Well, okay, here's something that people should avoid doing. Um, we all understand. I'm always a little turned off when people say things like, "I need a job," or "I want to," "I want to," "I want this."
Mm.
I know that. Like like we all know that already, like I know.
Yeah.
Or when people are defensive, like immediately defensive,
Mm.
I it's really off-putting when I'm first meeting someone and I'm perceived as the bad guy because of my
Mm.
position. I'm very sensitive.
Yeah, same.
um yeah, I'm a very sensitive person, and I'm not like and I never have seen myself, or I've never seen this job as like I've always seen my job as like a positive, like, and I think it's just because of how I work and how I work
Mm.
with my partners. I've been mentored to be generous, and to be kind. And I didn't need to be mentored to do that. I'm already that person.
Mm.
But I know, and I also understand that that might not always be how other people move through the world. But the immediate impression that somehow, because of my position, I'm not going to be that, that there has to be a defensiveness.
Yeah,
That's a turn off. It makes me not want to work. That will
that
make me
makes
not
sense.
want to work with somebody.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah. And then like, again, like what I said, like the sort of obvious, like, well, I need a job. I'm like, yeah, so do we. So do I.
You're like, we all do. We all
We
got
all
a
need a job.
network.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, the,
Trick or
and what,
treat. I need a job. No,
trick or
don't.
treat, I need a job. Yeah. Like I need a job. Yeah. We all need jobs. So it just, again, like going back to like the things that people can do that are positive, or just like, again, like showing genuine curiosity and asking
Mm.
questions and like being, like, we have a play on Broadway right now, Purpose.
Mm.
And,
Which run,
somebody,
don't walk, everyone.
yeah, try to get there before it closes. It's so
Yeah.
good. So good.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Deserves
But
all the acclaim.
yeah, it's so good. And like, anytime anybody wants to talk to me about that because they loved it
Mm.
so much, I'm like, yes, I will talk to you about that.
Yes.
And finding those ways of connection, like finding
Mm.
ways to connect that are not just about the industry, like I'm
Yeah.
always happy to do that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. First of all, I'm so grateful that you lead with kindness and that you
Hmm.
are generous and that you enjoy questions, because we can put that generosity to the test with all these questions we have from our listeners and our Casting Networks users.
Great.
They sent in a flurry of cues here just for you, and we got a
Mhm.
lot. I had to pick some, everybody. I'm sorry. I tried to pick the most common ones, and I thought we could just try and answer them in a little flash round if you're down.
Okay, I'm down. Yep.
Okay. The first one is from Janet at Janet's_life. Simply wants to know, how can I not hate networking so much? I'm an introvert. Help me,
Yes.
Erica.
I know. I'm a little bit of an introvert myself. So one of the things that I try to do again is if I'm curious about meeting somebody, what I encourage is doing a little research about that person beforehand.
Mm.
And then having something like in my pocket to say, or ask that person, get that conversation started in a way that, again, takes the pressure off of me. And, again, I know I've repeated this a million times now, but just leading with curiosity.
Mm.
And if you find that you're like in a situation, like, you know, like you're in a situation where, like, say you've just seen a play, for example, and then you see somebody that you want to meet, that you've already got an in right there, you know, like you're both at the same play and you get to talk
Mm,
and you can talk to them about the play. You can just say, hey, I really liked, you know, you can compliment them on their thing and then talk about the play.
mm,
And that's genuine, that's authentic.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's just ways to, um, I I so relate to this because I am also someone who is very introverted.
Yeah.
I can be very quiet, you know, I can be very
Mm,
shy about like approaching people, but finding that just finding that way
mm.
that like feels, you know,
That's excellent
feels
advice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. I once heard to listen for the weird thing. So when you're
Listen
talking
for,
to
oh,
somebody,
I love that.
listen for the weird thing. If they say, "Oh, I just took the subway here and there was, someone in a Santa suit did this, but anyway, I'm going to this later." It's like, "Wait, someone in a Santa suit? Tell me about." Sort of like listen for the weird thing, and that's
Yeah.
a nice tangible way if you're feeling a little awkward or shy to just like play that own game in your head and be curious.
I love that.
I,
I'm going to
well,
write
I
that down. Listen for the
oh
weird thing. Yeah.
oh okay. Well, I've already written down mentally like 80 things you've said, so
Yeah.
this will be a nice trade.
Yeah.
Our next question is from Eliza and Emma, I believe. Hello, the at DOUCE at Duquette dot twins. How can we break the ice and approach people organically?
How can you break the ice and approach people organically? Well, again, I think it just depends on who they are.
Mm,
Knowing something about them before you go in, like before you meet them, making sure you've done your research, making sure that you um again like have questions. Oh, here's another thing that I think is really uh uh important or can be important is like after
mm,
you meet someone,
mm.
making sure that you like follow up with gratitude, like follow
I
up with
love
them,
that.
figure out how to follow up with gratitude. I think that that's gonna go a long way.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. Follow up with gratitude. And
Mm-hmm.
I think too, there's something to be said for that old trick. And maybe somebody listening hasn't heard it, so I'll just say it of repeating someone's name when you first meet them. So it's
Yes.
sort of like after you walk away, take a moment too to follow up in your own brain and just say, oh, okay, that person was this and they do this. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a human I now know on this green and blue circle that we're on.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
well, speaking of sort of this, our next question is from my friend Jake underscore S30. What's the best way to network virtually with agents and casting directors? We touched
mm,
on that a little bit, but
yeah.
anything tangible there?
Well, listen, email's your friend. And so I think one of the things that you can do is utilize like using online services, like casting networks, for example. um,
Everybody
and
have a cookie,
have a
take a
good,
little
yes,
shot. There we go.
yes. And when you see something that you want to be seen for example, finding out like who's the casting director, or finding out who's the director, finding out who's the playwright,
Hmm.
and using email to, you know, uh, hit them up directly, and and see if there's room for you to be seen, for you to
Hmm.
audition. I
That's
think
really
that
smart.
yeah, I do think that's smart. I think that I think that that can like really help.
I think so too. I want to,
Hmm.
before you move on to your next bullet there, it might be about this, so forgive me if it is. But what's your ideal cold email? Do you like a little sentence sort of like pitch of who someone is in a human way? Do you like it just be quick and say, "Hey, I saw you're doing this. Would love to pick your
Yeah,
brain or grab
yeah,
coffee."
totally. Yeah. I love the hey, I saw that you're doing this. And I really love this because I love,
Mm,
I have a connection to this material because, there's some reason, I really feel connected to this character. And I'd love to be seen for it. Now, I will offer this doesn't work on every casting director. There are some
yeah.
casting directors who don't want you to tell them what you want to be seen for, like the specific
Mm,
role,
yeah.
because they want to make the determination. So I
Yeah.
would say that, like, for some people, just, I think maybe keeping it at like, I saw that you're casting this. I would really love to be seen for this. Yeah, I think I think going that route. It doesn't mean that you are going to get the audition, but it does
Yeah.
but just making that effort is, it's better than not.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, getting
you
on the
got,
radar. You know, and you never know who's going to see you on the sonar radar and call you in, but just like keep being on that little screen with the little beeps and the green and the, I don't know what I'm
yeah,
talking about now. Yeah.
yeah. But in terms of, I think the question maybe, I don't know if I answered the question exactly. I think about online,
Hmm.
um, I want to just say that I do think having a social media presence can be useful. I think is again, it has to be approached authentically. If you like social media and you want to be on social media, um, sharing work that you do,
Hmm.
like if you're particularly like I see a lot of musical theater people posting like themselves singing songs or like playing instruments or
Hmm.
I also will see actors who've posted maybe auditions that they've had as examples of their work, and I think that that can be useful.
Yeah.
And as long as that feels authentic for you, I'm not asking everybody to run out and have a social media presence.
Yeah.
But if you do, the other thing that you need to make sure that you do is for every post that you do, that you post, everything that you post about yourself, make sure you uplift two or three other,
Hmm.
other, other people or things that
Yes.
you know, that you really enjoy, that speak to your values.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, so that you're continuing to again, um, think more broadly, think in like a more human way.
Yeah. And not
Mhm.
only is that kind, but technically, I believe all these social media platforms value that in the algorithm. So it
Yeah.
actually helps get, it's sort of like the science of kindness. It helps get your stuff out there. Like kindness always gives back. And it's not why
Mhm.
you do it, but it's a reason, another reason why you, like, why not? And
Why not?
the next question actually has to do with social media, which is from Andrew Azuna. Ooh, I love that name.
Hmm.
Andrew wants to know, is it okay to DM folks on Instagram that are maybe more well known in the industry?
Uh, I think that you can, but it doesn't, but again, like it's there. And,
Hmm.
I think social media makes the world a little smaller. We do
Yeah.
have access, maybe in a way that we didn't before. You have access to folks who are participating on social media in a way that you didn't, that we haven't before. It doesn't mean that you're going to hear back, you know.
Hmm.
So I think as long as you're again approaching things with like you're being authentic and kind and leading with something that's positive.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't I wouldn't say that that should be the a habit that you
Yeah. That makes
it's like
sense.
yeah.
Well, thank you, Erica. And thank you all for submitting your cues. You can submit them via Casting Networks or at Rob Peterpaul. Hey, I'll accept them as well. You co founded a wonderful organization that I do want to shout out that does
Mhm.
a lot of what we've talked about here today, which I believe is called She Collective. It's
Mhm.
a creative safe space for women and non binary folks. Thank you for your work there, first of
Mhm.
all.
Mhm.
And I wonder what lessons about trust based networking from that experience do you think can apply to all actors when they go to meet new people professionally? I wonder if you've like seen any lessons come out of your work there.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why I started She Collective was to create a safe space, for women and non-binary people, to be able to, explore their work and work in a way where where they felt like they were being supported, and and they can be a little bit more fearless, perhaps.
Hmm.
Um, but Uh, and the thing that I really want to emphasize, what thing that I emphasize with She Collective again is community building and trying to relieve the transactional nature of the business.
Hmm.
Like I just feel like when you're working from that space, when everything's transactional, it just feels it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to work that way. And it feels like you have to,
Yeah.
you're constantly bending yourself to be what other people want you to be. If you're working from that space. And so I want the folks who come to me through and take classes at She Collective. I want them to feel like they are connecting with their authentic self and that's enough. Like being yourself is, you're going to find the people who want to work with you and who you want to work with, and not, and again, like relieving that idea of of it all being transactional. I just,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like it. And I don't think that, and I don't think I'm being naive. I think that there's like, I understand what this industry is. I don't want to sound like, I'm not like, I get it. But at the same time, I do think that we can operate differently. And if more of us are operating differently, then things change.
Yeah, I love that so much too, because even as actors, it's sort of like, don't audition to get the job because you're going to get something in a transaction. Audition because it's a chance to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
So it sort of puts the emphasis on the passion, the people versus maybe, getting something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Random. But you said when you were acting, you didn't feel like you were very good at auditioning. And I would feel remiss not to ask you when I have you here, since you coach a lot about auditioning. I'm wondering what you see most of all being on the other side now. And I guess what your sort of number one just audition tip in general is for actors.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've never gotten
okay.
that question.
No. Well, okay. The reason why I wasn't good at auditioning, I think, is because I would just get so nervous that I would fall asleep. Like I would fall asleep in the audition, like in the waiting room.
Oh, literally fall asleep.
Literally fall asleep. Yeah, I would just like pass out. And like I think auditioning for me, I think I really enjoyed being an actor in the bubble of graduate school. When I got out into the world of New York City, and I saw what like the kind of stamina you have to have, I realized that wasn't for me. I think that's more what I meant when I said I wasn't good at auditioning. I think I just realized, I had a realization that like what you need, the stamina and the continued like looking for work and looking for someone to just see you, like trying to find things to audition for. And then balancing that with like a survival job. Like that was like, I just realized it just wasn't how I wanted to move. Like, it just wasn't like I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And just the day-to-day of that was just very hard for me. So when I see actors who can navigate all of that and who are prepared, because they've read the script, they've researched who's in the room, they have like a real passion for what they're doing. People who just love what they're doing, and you can see it and you can feel it. You can feel it when somebody comes in and they've made choices. They're excited to be there. They see it as an opportunity rather than like a hassle, so those are the things that I love. I love that kind of energy, and you can see it in people's self-tapes. Like if I have somebody who I've invited to like send a tape in like a few times and I keep getting the same response back, like there's always like a reason why they can't, then I sort of feel like maybe that person just doesn't want to, maybe this isn't what they should be. Maybe they don't want to do this.
They can't prioritize it.
Yeah. If you can't prioritize it, then I'm not judging. That's fine. But then you have to kind of look at your life like, okay, do I want to do this? Like for real?
Yeah.
Because it's just harder than when I started. Like this is a lot harder. Like having to make tapes, that's hard. I know how hard that is. Like I understand that that's like really hard. It's harder than just getting like an appointment and then showing up.
It's a lot. You gotta be the lighting, the designer, all this stuff, and then you have to watch them all, which bless you,
Yeah.
It makes me wonder to kind of like come full circle a bit, because a lot of the questions and the other ones I have for you, I think do come back to just that authenticity,
Mm-hmm.
leading with kindness, being yourself, sort of if it feels like something you're proud of, if you wouldn't, let's say, be embarrassed of somebody screenshotting the email and posting it, not that anyone's going to do that. If it feels authentic to you, then that's probably the way to go and to trust
Mm-hmm.
in. I think a lot of the business things and even little pieces of advice that we run with that maybe make sense can put pressure on us. And so I just
Mm-hmm.
wonder, what do you think is a good way to recenter yourself as an actor now that we've talked about all of this and allow yourself to then shine through in your interactions and in your work?
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I think is finding the ways that you care for yourself, like the
Mm,
self-care, like self-care is such a big thing, right? Like
yeah.
but it's true, like finding ways to like um and also your relationship with auditioning, because that is so much of what you're doing. Like you hope at
Mm,
least like as an actor, um reframing how you think about auditioning, reframing how you think about self-tapes, like and seeing it more as an opportunity rather than like a hassle.
mm.
How do you make it something that's not terrible?
Yeah.
Like maybe like again, like going back to like, okay, I have this self-tape I have to do. Maybe I have some friends around who can help me with that. And that way it's
Mm.
a little bit more it might be a little bit more fun. Um um so yeah, I just think
Yeah,
that there's
fun.
like, yeah, making things fun. You can't always make it fun, but finding ways uh that help you reset your mind.
Mm.
Um and again, you're not always going to be successful at that, right? You're going to have like just bad days. That's just the way it
Yeah.
is. Um but not living in that space all the time.
Yeah.
Like I wonder how we can all not live in like is if that is not the constant. And if
Yeah.
it is the constant, then maybe
Mm.
just take a step back and say, "Hey, do I still want to do this?"
Mm.
It's okay if you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
You can give yourself a break. Let yourself off the hook,
Yeah.
you know?
Take a break. And you
Take a
can
break.
also find it's okay if you don't want to do it the way you've been doing it anymore too. I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
a lot of us get stuck in this ring light backdrop situation now. And
Mhm.
I mean, for the first time in a long time, I had a scene recently where the person was sitting on a bed eating cake. And so, you know what? I put my backdrop behind me on the bed and I did it. And then I got a call back because
Yes.
it was more fun for me. And I
Right.
mean, I think there's something to be said, everybody, for maybe like breaking the rules a little bit sometimes and making it your own
Mhm.
in a professional sense. So I love everything you're sharing. And, speaking of that self-care, I got to go on my daily walk soon and let you go. But before we do, Erica, could we play a very quick surprise game?
Sure.
Do 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 do. I know we didn't know where that was going to build to. We're like, what? We're at the top of the coaster now. This is called casting keywords. And basically, I'm going to name a keyword or a phrase that you're going to be very familiar with as
Okay.
a phenomenal casting director. You just tell me the first piece of tangible advice for actors that pops into your brain. And we'll move through it kind of quick if that's cool.
I'll try. Yes, I know that
Okay.
I know that I talk a lot, but
You'll succeed. Oh, you can
okay.
talk a lot. I just want to respect your time. So you talk as
Mhm.
much as you want, please.
Mhm.
You're blessing us all. Okay. So the first one we have here is headshots.
Look like you want a good day.
Oh, I love that.
Mhm.
The slate.
Name, height, location. And usually it's great if it's separate from I usually like it if the slate is separate from the
Mm,
and it's very okay if you have like a slate that you've created and you want to just tack that on to your yeah, I
yeah,
think that's fine. Yeah.
that's a great idea. I love that. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking down a breakdown as an actor.
Okay. So breakdowns. This is good. Depending on what it is, make sure that if it's a Broadway show, there's a big likelihood that a lot of those roles have already been cast or there's offers
Mm,
out on the roles. That should not stop you from like going to the EPA. always go to EPAs for everything. If you know, but like if it's a regional job, there might be some offers that have already gone out on some of the roles. But you should always pursue, because you don't know exactly what's
Mm.
happening with it. But go to EPAs, people. Just go to EPAs. If you
Yes.
can, make sure you go. Yeah,
I
that's
love
a way
it.
to that's a way to expand. Again, that's a way to expand your network, expand your community.
Yeah, I love that. And
Hmm.
it's a free way usually too,
Yep.
although it costs
Hmm.
your time and your energy. But I love that. Always pursue. I think that's brilliant.
Hmm.
Taking adjustments.
Taking adjustments. Okay, make sure you take the adjustment. Like,
Just do it.
like
Yeah.
just do it. Like, make sure that you do. Um, if you're given an adjustment and you don't understand, make sure you ask the question. Ask for
Mm.
more details. That's the hardest
Yeah.
thing, I think, for me, is like watching someone get an adjustment and then they don't do it. And it's
Mm.
probably because they just don't understand what the director's saying, but they don't want to ask.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask.
Don't be afraid to ask. The audition, it's your audition, so make sure that you ask.
I love that so much. It goes back to curiosity. I
Hmm.
wonder, okay, the next word here is improv. So I wonder what you think about that.
Yes. Okay, improv. This is a good one.
Mhm.
I think making sure that you honor the writer's words. Writers want to hear what they've written.
Mm.
If you want to improv something like right at the end, that's okay. Sometimes if there's like a little improv at the beginning to get you into the scene, that's okay too. That can be okay. If you're given definite, like, strict permission to improvise something, then please go with it. Make sure that
Mm.
you do. And I think improving happens a lot in like commercials and
Yeah.
some TV shows. Like, sometimes they'll give you like an opportunity to improvise for
Mm.
TV. Not so
Yeah, it
much with
seems more
theater,
common
Yeah.
in theater. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do
That
too
makes
much
sense.
improvising in
Although
theater.
some is
Yeah.
that like an EPA, if you're in person, you got to improvise if something happens in the room, if like the ceiling falls down, if there's a leak. I've kind of seen it all. If someone's granola
Yes.
bar falls out of their mouth, I think it's okay to address it.
I think that's okay. Yes, please. Yeah, don't pretend like
Yeah.
things aren't happening around you.
Yeah, because people aren't doing that
Yeah.
are on Broadway shows. That I saw a show recently where the lamp prop shattered on stage and they had to make a little bit of a bit out of it. So
Yep.
yeah, try to be present in that way. And I have so enjoyed being present with you. Before I let you go, I would just love if you could give us the best piece of advice that you've gotten and then have to give. So we always end with a gotten and a given, if that makes sense, in this
Okay.
industry.
Okay. Let me see. The
Okay.
best piece of advice that I've gotten. Oh, that's so hard. Oh gosh.
I know, these are
Best
big
piece
ones.
These are big ones. Best piece of advice I've gotten
In this
is
moment, too, you reserve the right to change your mind.
yeah. Is about mostly, I think, like, advice that's around, maybe this is both, this is answers for both, but like the right thing comes, like
Hmm.
the when you are present and when you are at maybe like at your most quiet, um
Hmm.
and if you're listening, if you're paying attention, um then the things that are right for you will come. um
Hmm.
and sometimes it might feel like the wrong thing, but maybe there's always learning in whatever comes, right?
Oh, I love that
And
so much.
yeah, there's always learning in whatever comes. And sometimes, like, you're not gonna get this role that you're dying to get, or like for me, like, maybe I'm not gonna get this job that I really, really want. It's gonna go to
Hmm.
somebody else. And I believe that that's because things land where they're supposed to land. And
Hmm.
and it just means that there's gonna be space for me for the thing that is right for me.
Yeah. And the prep
Hmm.
you sort of did for that meeting or that audition is going to come in handy one day down the
It's gonna
road.
come in
So,
handy somewhere down the road. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
I love that. My nanny always says, watch what comes into the void. And
Yes.
I think it's nice to just sort of let things come to you sometimes while you're proactively, following your dream and doing what you love. And speaking of, I loved listening to my friend Jennifer Apple's podcast with you, Empowered Artists Collective. So I want to shout that out as I was preparing for this. That was such a great conversation as well. And
Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed this one, Erica. Thank you just for enriching this community by being you and leading with kindness. We're lucky to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I love talking about this. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad. We'll come back anytime. Thank you.
Yes, I will. Yeah.